The Baihetan Dam on the upper reaches of the Jinsha River in southwest China is, while in progress, the largest hydroelectric dam under construction in the world. It took over 50 years to select the dam site and 12 years to build it, with 3.96 million anchor cables and rods used to reinforce the world's biggest dam slope, and nearly 40,000 tons of explosives to dig the world's longest tunnel. It was also the first dam to be built on loose basalt. All in all, it was arguably the most difficult engineering project ever. A dam across this gorge, which forms part of the boundary between provinces of Sichuan and Yunnan, was a dream for generations. The earlier triumph of China's Three Gorges project gave engineers the confidence to do it. The Three Gorges Dam in Hubei is the greatest hydropower project in history, the fruit of decades of designs, construction, and engineering. As well as a major national project in its own right, it was also the beginning of another engineering miracle.
三峡工程之前，中国水电是处于一个跟跑阶段，到三峡你才逐步的并跑到领跑。所以说，三峡工程搞完了，我们可以继续去从事这大水电的建设。
Wang Julian, a senior hydroelectric engineer, has loved to push the limits of hydropower projects since his Three Gorges project experience. Over 2 decades, he has led the best team to work on the Three Gorges and Baihetan dams, 2 historical feats of engineering. The towering 289-meter-high crest of the Baihetan Dam looks down along the Jinsha, which is the Chinese name for the upper stretches of the Jinsha River. It's proof that China's hydropower technology has reached a new peak and its energy development has entered a new stage.
Baihetan 的话，应该是当今世界在建的水电站的一个最高水平的，因为它的综合技术难度也最高，对我们今后的这个碳排放、碳中和都可以做出很大的贡献。
When finished, Baihetan completed a network of 4 mega hydropower stations, with the Wudongdia upstream and the Shiluodu and Shengjiaba downstream. Their combined installed capacity will be twice that of the Three Gorges Dam. Hydropower from the 768 kilometers long lower section of the Jinsha River will be fed into China's west-to-east power transmission program.
白鹤滩乌东的工程呢，作为国家新时代的重大工程，已经成为长江经济带高质量发展的重要基础保障，极大地改善了当代和未来的可持续发展空间，巩固了世界水电发展引领者的地位。
Hydropower construction is fraught with peril. The site of Baihetan has complex geological structures, a harsh natural environment, and steep slopes. To build their planned ultra-high double curvature arch dam, its engineers had to solve more than 40 challenges. Engineers in charge of the project's surveying stage still shudder when they think back to the first time they hiked trails in the area 20 years ago. The steep Baihe track along the Jinsha River was one of the routes they had to take.
站在这个马道上看江水啊，看不了多久头就晕了，所以不敢看江水，这是一个第二个感受。我们走在上面最担心的就是这个，最可怕的就是这个，就走的时候一不小心就是脚底打滑，再看到下面的这个都是汹涌澎湃的江水，心里是发毛的。
The Baihe track has a vertical drop of almost 1,000 meters. Its narrowest section is less than a meter wide, allowing only one person to move along it sideways. With the sheer cliff on one side and occasional falling stones from above, progress required extreme caution.
头顶上呢，小石头比较多，比较碎，甚至鸟飞过石头也要掉下来的。那走的最窄的路就是两只手要抠住这个突出的这个岩块，整个身体贴牢这个岩壁，这么爬过去，感觉到这里是高山峡谷，能够造出一个规模宏大的大坝。
Perilous as the track was, it was also the way to realizing the engineer's dreams. In the fall of 2000, Xu Tianrong officially took over the project. He and his team were given more than 20 years to conduct multi-stage appraisals, draw hundreds of thousands of plans, write over 1,000 research reports, and finish hundreds of designs dealing with geological surveys, dam location, dam structure, and power plant installation. It was a daunting overall task.
有压力啊！做梦的时候也是在那里，也是梦见自己在那里敲石头。主要是我们有一些地质规律没有摸透的时候，相当于黎明前的黑暗了。这个时候是最痛苦的。
Tan Min Fa, a geological engineer, came to China's high-altitude interior from coastal Zhejiang's provincial capital, Hangzhou. He and Xu Tianrong would face the biggest challenge in their careers.
我当时就在想，能够在我退休之前，能够完完整整的完成一个世界上最牛大坝之一吧，职业生涯就很圆满。
To build a peerless mega dam, the first task was to choose its location and type.
这个是这个上坝子，就是这个上坝子的话，这个河谷是比较宽阔的，是吧？它的是流向是由南向北，就是正北的流向。这个上坝子的这个右岸。
Damming this section of the Jinsha was first proposed at the end of the 1950s and later also put forward in the Planning Report on Comprehensive Utilization of the Yangtze River Basin in the early 1990s. From the upstream Santan to Baihe Tan further down, the design team surveyed a 5-kilometer stretch of the river to consider geological conditions, dam construction feasibility, and the project's spillway and surrounding environment before deciding upon the site and type of the dam. Santan is a rare open stretch in the middle and lower reaches of the Jinsha River.
那么我们到这个地方看了以后，就是第一个感受就是河谷相对比较开阔的话，适合布置比较规模巨大的西红建筑物。那么所以说它单纯从建坝条件来说，三滩坝子做土石坝还是比较合适的。
An embankment dam can be earth-filled or rock-filled. Today's techniques of rock-fill compaction are similar to the method that was used to build Sichuan's Dujiangyang irrigation system more than 2,000 years ago.
土石坝呢，就是用当地材料做成的坝。那么这种坝呢，在世界上300米以上的坝也有建造的先例了。
沙岩、泥岩，现在风化了以后，这个岩泥的质量是吧，就比较差。 一桥都碎了，所以说它的这个地下厂房呢，危险稳定问题。
两岸地下厂房呢都布置在这个山体内部，左岸呢是地下厂房在玄武岩里边，右岸的地下厂房呢主要是在砂泥岩里边。
The candidacy of Santan as the dam site needed more detailed geological surveys. After examining rock cores taken deep from each side of the valley, Tang Minfa and his teammates concluded the location was less than ideal.
我们的地下这个厂房，包括输水系统，一定要放在砂岩加泥岩这一套很软弱的、这个很不均匀的这个岩体里面。
The plan for the hydropower station included what would be the world's largest underground cavern group, with a total installed capacity of 16 million kilowatt. Initial calculations indicated that as much as 37% of the mountain would need to be excavated. Such a large space would require the support of solid rock walls. The loose sandstone at Santan obviously wasn't up to the job. Climbing over the high mountains on either side of the valley, the engineers went downstream. There was a long and narrow gorge 1.5 kilometers from Santan with great water potential energy. After over 20 years of surveying, the site for the future dam was finally chosen here.
《河道顺直，河谷狭窄，两岸山体雄厚。那么这种峡谷地形，非常适合修建双丘拱坝。
Bai He Tan was an unremarkable deserted riverbank. The name, which means White Crane Beach in Chinese, would later become well known because of the dam. Wang Zhelin, the chief commander of the project, still remembers the first time he surveyed the location.
两边都是高山峡谷，岩壁上长的都是仙人掌。河道里面的这种巨石比较多了，所以它水流湍急的时候，水花激荡起来，你说震撼也好，也非常的适合于建造拱坝。
With the precise location of the dam agreed on, a blueprint could finally be drawn up after half a century of effort. When completed, the Bai He Tan Dam would house 8 hydro-generating units, each with a capacity of 1 million kilowatts on either side of the river. Its 289-meter height would create enormous generating pressure. Ultra-thin with a smooth double curvature, its structure would embody a perfect combination of mechanics and aesthetics, a masterpiece of engineering.
我的拱坝是有曲线的，就像人的健身一样，应该是最美的一个大坝了，科技含量是最高的，它是大坝里面的皇冠。
In October 2010, excavation around the site officially started. While the volume of rock removed was huge, it was just one of many challenges ahead.
"这个江边的路不行，整个这条路都塌掉了。
During the flood season, the only road giving access to the site collapsed, cutting off traffic.
这个一定要打一条上下游能够贯通、洪水冲不断、塌方砸不烂的交通要道，右岸一样。
Zhou Chuyi is an engineering designer. His task was to design and build a road network across the difficult terrain. Once it's completed, at least 20,000 construction workers and nearly 8,000 vehicles would use it every day, carrying almost 100,000 tons of excavated rock and building materials.
最危险的情况下，前面一个车过了这个路段，回过头去，道路已经塌到江里去了。这样的情况，连施工期的交通都不能满足，所以进场筹建的第一项任务就是修路架桥。
The Baihetan project straddles the Jinsha River. There were steep cliffs on either side. To begin with, materials had to be transported by horse. The complex terrain and huge demand for transportation capacity were unprecedented in China's dam construction history. Without adequate infrastructure, the mega project would never get off the ground. Zhou Xuyi's solution was bold: a comprehensive road network featuring 7 bridges.
大增物资跟大件物资通过铁路跟公路联运的方式，经过昭通、登川、西昌，到达白河滩上游的云南四川交界的葫芦口。
Where there's a will, as the saying goes, there's a way. In 2016, the Baihetan Bridge over the Jinsha River was completed. This cable-stayed bridge, the gateway to Baihetan, took 4 years and cost over 450 million yuan to build.
我们要在现场展开这种大规模的施工和建设，我们还需要在我们厂区内布置大量的厂内道路。
Slope excavation on both sides of Baihetan was already underway, making it more urgent to build roads that could reach each construction site. The road network, which would have been difficult to build even on the flat, was much harder to complete in mountainous terrain. In addition, the overall project spanned a height difference of 700 meters. To achieve the construction and connection of the dam and its 4 main cavern groups, Zhou Chuyi had to plan traffic in 3 dimensions to manage vertical transportation. Simply put, the challenge was to allow quick access to multiple construction sites at different elevations, with limited space available for building roads.
上游的地质条件也不好，水库蓄水之后，滩岸会很多。上游直接到巧家和这个宜兰县距离要近点。
我们看到的这一些条件很差的路，也要作为施工道路的。施工期，低线、中线、高线都是要的。即便是上。
Building the dam and excavating the caverns underground were a dynamic process. Fixed traffic roads simply wouldn't meet the demands of dynamic construction. Once the main project started, construction would be carried out at more than 1,000 sites at the same time. Serving as the project's supporting infrastructure, the road network had to be extensive and flexible.
基本上要50米都要有个通道，因为我们开挖的时候是每15米一层。为了满足大坝跟厂房的施工，我们在左右岸各布置了3条主要的道路。从这3条线插出来的路，基本上每50米高程就要一条支线，来解决到达各个工作面的问题。
The Baihetan transportation hub served over 10,000 people every day. Tens of thousands of tons of rock were excavated every day from the project's huge cavern groups before being processed and sent to a concrete mixing plant. Running 24 hours a day, the road network's design ensured a smooth flow of traffic, allowing the huge construction site of Baihetan to operate efficiently. Tens of thousands of dedicated workers worked hard to realize the grand plan. To set world records for the ultra-high double curvature arch dam they were building would require overcoming formidable obstacles.
双曲拱坝的形象类似于鸡蛋壳，它虽然很薄，但是它的超载能力超强。 通过这个壳体结构，把水推力传递到两岸坝间。那么两岸坝间的话，实际上就起了它承载作用。
In the eyes of engineers, the most elegant design for a structure achieves maximum performance through minimum use of materials. With its optimized shape for load bearing, the dam had to withstand a water force of 16.5 million tons, equivalent to the thrust of 1 million bulldozers, transmitting it to the mountain slopes on each side through the dam abutments. Starting early in the morning, the workers climbed up the right slope. Their task was to do foundation work for a narrow and long dam abutment. This entailed excavating a 1,150-meter-long, 289-meter-high groove and carrying away enough sandstone to build 15 pyramids of Khufu. The right slope, with a height of over 600 meters, was almost a vertical cliff.
你把那个自动监测数据拿出来看看。 只有把这个特性研究清楚以后，我们才有针对性的支付措施，这样边坡才能稳定。
Halfway up the dizzying cliff, engineer Tian Wenfu had to constantly monitor the changes of the slope as the excavation proceeded.
右岸边坡坡度达70度，几乎近似于垂直边坡。这个开挖过程中啊，是要求你下挖的 速度和支付的速度要相协调、相匹配。我在往下挖的时候，上面的边坡它不至于塌方。
The rocks on both sides of Baihetan are mostly igneous, meaning they were formed from volcanic eruptions. The engineers had to take their properties into account. When the right slope was excavated to a height of 590 meters, the columnar-jointed basalt buried in the mountain posed a big problem.
柱状节点旋尾岩就像一把筷子，在它结构完成的时候，那它的承载能力非常强的。卸合以后，离析会张开松散。
Basalt is the rock that was formed by volcanic eruptions 250 million years ago. For all engineers considering building a dam in such valleys, loose and brittle rocks are a nightmare. It's extremely difficult to reinforce columnar-jointed basalt. The clock was ticking. Half of the foundation pit of the dam abutment remained to be excavated. The engineers had to find a solution quickly.
如果这个支护完不成的话，相当于我们整个边坡你开挖完了之后，相当于对它卸合了。卸合之后，如果不把支护补强上去的话，这个边坡很有可能会失稳，它的稳定性遭到破坏，边坡会垮塌。
Shon Guangfang was in charge of the right bank's technical management. The technical research team led by him was one of the top teams of the Baihetan project. Facing a vertical slope higher than 2 Eiffel Towers, they would be challenging yet another world record in hydropower engineering.
白河滩水电站像一个导师，在我们的建设过程中也给我们提出了很多命题。
Reinforcing the steep cliff would require the driving of 256,000 reinforcement anchor rods into it, an incredibly huge task.
它的工程量太大了，如果我们的支护不能紧跟的话，我们的开挖要暂停。
Soon a fast and effective scheme was proposed. The anchor rods in the basalt layer could be stretched using external tension to pull the columnar-jointed basalt into a single mass. High-pressure grouting could then be used, transforming the loose rock layer into a reinforced rock body. Using advanced concepts and technologies to deal with complex columnar-jointed basalt and reinforce steep high slopes was a first in world engineering. In the complex construction environment with strict observation of the necessary engineering requirements, Shongguan Fong and his team completed the task.
在这个工作之中面临的压力，我觉得这是一个常态。大坝是背负水压力的，我们也要背负压力。在背负压力的情况下，还能够高效的运行。
The project's road network of more than 200 kilometers in total length was to include labyrinth-like underground passages to ensure that every last necessary peak and valley could be easily reached. Pondering its construction, the engineers realized the enormity of their task and how difficult completing it would be. In total, there would be more than 150 tunnels in all directions. Who could say in what order they should be excavated and where blockages might arise?
白河滩有1个亿的开挖量，你说干这里，另外一个说是我要先干这里，我们要通过计算机把这个过程模拟出来，告诉各个单位这样做是最合理的。所以这里的问题主要是这2座桥的问题，恐怕2座桥还不够。我们的有用料。
Zhou Chui-yi and Yu Chu Rong carried out the traffic simulations. Their computer model was able to dynamically calculate parameters that might affect traffic and test the road network in the design stage.
交通工程的发展，比如说道路的标准、宽度、转弯半径、车速，我们在上游开始是布置了2座索桥，通过我们的仿真发现，这个地方排队最多要排80辆车子。 最后在上游又加了1座桥，解决了这个交通拥堵问题。导流洞的施工制动也要从这里出去。
这里好像可以转到5号洞嘛，5号洞到这边上去。
To build tunnels, many factors had to be considered at once. In addition to tunnels for vehicles, the plan also included underground conduits for drainage, ventilation, and water diversion.
我们做交通仿真的时候，是把整个路网所有的工作面全部都放进去，这样得出来的一个结论的话，也能反映实际施工的时候的一个真实情况。
Being extensive and efficient was a minimum requirement for the designers. They also had to ensure their tunnel network was safe. Smoke from blasts and vehicle exhaust, for example, needed to be discharged, while fresh air had to be supplied via ventilation tunnels to provide a safe and non-hazardous underground working environment.
港这边的通风条件很差，采用这种单一的压风方式，是不是能解决问题？效果不是很理想。
朱总，我们现在整个厂内最动的通风布置已经没有办法再增加风管跟风机了，已经做到极限了。我们选用的风机、风管从设备角度已经做到最先进了，但是3家公司它的理念认为还不能满足要求。
According to established practice, the construction area of an underground project should have its own independent ventilation. While excavation is going on, fans pump air in to produce airflow. At Baihetan, however, the project's cavern groups were too big even for the most advanced fans. After blasting, 40 minutes were needed for the dust to be discharged before workers could enter the construction site. If this waiting time could be shortened while ensuring the air quality, construction efficiency would be improved. To achieve such a goal, powerful fans alone wouldn't work. A new ventilation design was needed. Zhou Shuiyi's team had to find a path for the airflow.
通过这样一个管道进来，并且还要再拐弯拐进去，这个通风会非常难处理。
这边的话好像是有一条603，
污浊空气从这边出去，距离太长，
包括这里面也要把风往这边拔出来。
这样的话，整个就是一个大的风流，通过2条主的排风针吸到河床里面去。
这一部分
我也是经过长时间的讨论，最后专门在左右岸打了2条专用的排风灯。这个专用的排风灯碰到不同的东西，打一条竖拧下去，连起来，像一个大的抽油烟机。 把所有的地下工程的污浊空气排到灯外去。这样一个通风措施采取以后，原来掌子面的通风时间40分钟，可以降低一半到20分钟。白海滩的通风、灯内的施工环境都达到了国际最高的水平。
A 3D simulation of the Baihetan project's vast and complicated traffic tunnel network may seem chaotic to a layman. What Zhou Shuiyi sees, however, is an orderly and efficient system. Its total length is more than 200 kilometers, connecting over 1,000 construction sites on both banks. With such supporting infrastructure, the project could progress smoothly. With hundreds of vehicles using the tunnel network to access the deep valley bottom, the reinforcement project of the dam foundation was about to start. According to the project's design, a 289-meter-high double curvature arch dam was to be built across the V-shaped valley like an inverted pyramid. At its bottom, it would bear a weight of more than 20 million tons, the pressure equivalent of 2 tanks on a palm-sized surface. To ensure its structural integrity, the dam's foundation had to be solid and stable.
So 所以说建基面的要求是很高的，它这个能够抗压强度很高，这些都前期我们进行大量的勘探，勘探弄清楚了以后，我们对这些地质构造、地质结构都提前进行了处理。
Early exploration of the dam's foundation had frustrated the project's geological engineers. Despite intensive efforts to survey the riverbed, the bottom of the waterway deep down remained an unknown world.
大大小小大概打了400滩洞，总长大概在5万米，总感觉到还差一点，差那一层窗户纸没捅破的那一点。
Once 5 diversion tunnels were dug and ready, it was time to let the river through them. With water bypassing the construction site, the riverbed was exposed. Sedimentary sand and stones were removed to reveal underlying rock. It was breccia rock, formed from lava, as the engineers had expected.
它的 完整性非常好，强度也比较适中，所以做个拱坝基础是非常好的。所以这层保护层就像一个乌龟壳一样的，盖在了下边比较差的岩体上面。
Once the breccia lava layer was drilled and grouted, the broken basalt at the bottom could be solidified into the foundation of the dam. With a strong reinforced concrete floor, the base of the dam would be solid.
你看一下，那这个敲上去的声音，
这敲的声音也不算
哑，
有点哑，但不算太长。
不是哑，那但从岩块来说，它是
很完整的，
完整岩体的。
With one problem solved, another thorny issue presented itself to Wang Zulin.
那就还要挖40到50米才行。
所以说，对我们现在非常关键的就是这层角内熔岩怎么它的完整性继续把它保守。
The breccia lava layer was covered with broken rocks that needed to be removed by blasting. This had to be done, however, without damaging the integrity of the bedrock.
如果把这角内熔岩层破坏了以后，我们这个基础还要再挖深40米，可能还不能满足我建坝基的要求。所以说，这角内熔岩层是必须保护的。
No margin for error could be allowed in the blasting. The engineers had to find a way to protect the bedrock from the impact of 5,528 tons of explosives, enough to flatten the top of a mountain. Rong Yuijio is an engineer with over 30 years of blasting experience. He and his team accepted the challenge. If he succeeded, it would be a milestone in his career.
因为我这是水平铲状的，就是不能把它破坏，所以说呢，你要采用传统的爆发方式，那么就把它就破坏掉。
To protect the bedrock at the bottom, Rong Yuijio's team proposed a composite energy dissipation blasting plan. Data modeling indicated that this blasting method would not only reduce downward impact force, but also use its reflected shock wave to increase demolition efficiency by 6 to 8 times. To confirm this innovative idea, Rong Yuijio and a team of experts prepared for 2 years and conducted over 100 experiments.
那么我们炸药的速度一般都是3000到3600左右。它的波的传入以后，它就形成了第一反射波，反射波按照什么？按照球面。
Key to the plan's success was solid iron balls.
消聚能爆破的最重要的就是这个铁球件。这个铁球件它是起到什么呢？就消能是保护底部，聚能呢就是爆破这个波。 通过这个球以后，它会形成反射，它就起到这么一个作用。
During blasting, the arc surface of each iron ball serves to dissipate shock energy and at the same time reflect shock waves back, concentrating the energy of the explosion. Such composite blasting seemed tailor-made for a project like Baihutan. The breccia lava base, about the size of 3 football fields, was covered with an 11-meter thick layer of broken rock. Now it was time to test the engineers' composite energy dissipation blasting method.
现在是第一次警报已经那个了。
With 20,000 electronic detonators in place along with as many iron balls, this was the moment of truth.
这个效果非常好，被保护的掩体完好无损。这是我最难忘，也是最欣慰的。
散能爆破法应该是第一次在白鹤滩试验并运用，所以说发现，因为散能爆破法是比较好的一种保护层开发爆破的方法。
Technological innovation shows the wisdom and courage of Chinese hydropower engineers who can conquer mighty mountains and rivers. While the right bank of the Jinsha River at Baihetan is very steep, the slope of its left side is gentler. The future 289-meter-high dam abutment was to extend 130 meters inward along the mountain here.
这个大坝呢又不对称，这个走边很陡，又比较滑，岩石也不对称，在不对称的湖泊里头建这个是很不简单，国际上是没有的，最后都给我们带来很大的挑战。
好，超过我。
这个玄武岩的话，它最高一区
对岸边坡的这个监测情况。
During the excavation of the slopes, 1,200 monitors were embedded inside the mountains.
自动监测的数据，自动反馈到、传输到我们的电脑里头去。我们随时可以通过手机 APP 来了解围堰的形态。对，那位置32米的位置嘛，就3119的位置，正好3119-1的位置028，知道吧？
对，一会儿还在岩石里头，没出漏。
不敢再动了。
Although their monitoring measures were thorough, the engineers were still anxious. When the slope excavation reached 660 meters, a set of data on the mobile app caught the attention of Ten Wenfu and his colleagues.
如果这个张开现象过大，将来我们在大坝修建以后，必然会产生变形，所以我们控制 玄武岩的变形不能超过2公分。
The exploration tunnel the engineers dug was nearly 10,000 meters deep, reaching the heart of the left bank.
这个洞应该观察110呢，
接110，对，那还是
这个还是一个。
The structural changes inside the mountain could be directly reflected through the monitored data.
声音就是清脆，这个是一个大块岩石的个声音，是吧？
这是很完整的大块岩石。
这个就是有一点点力学，是吧？
On the rock surface, groundwater was seeping out. Sand and gravel in the rock crevice were also beginning to fall off. All the indicators showed that rock faults inside the mountain had shifted slightly after unloading with the reduction in pressure.
它是后期形成的，是吧？
后期
冲填的。
它这个裂隙已经冲填了之后交结在一起。
Judging from the direction of the fissure, this was an oblique slip fault, forming two superimposed triangles with the slope.
坝基岩体它的走向是往河谷和上游的，那么我们最大的体量约2万方，2万方相当于埃及的金字塔，它的重力的分力使它有一种下滑的趋势。
Obviously, the deep excavation of the dam abutment had reached the disturbed belt. The gentle left bank was posing challenges beyond the engineer's imagination. A commonly used supporting method is with anchor cable reinforcement, using steel cables to tightly hold a sliding rock layer in place. This slope reinforcement technology has been used many times in large dam projects. But supporting a slope with the same volume as the pyramid of Khufu would pose a huge challenge.
我
我们像白鹤滩这种300米级的特高拱坝，实际上因为它并不是一个简单的线性的叠加，并不是说300米就比200米多了那么一块儿，而是说它的所有面临的问题都会呈几何级数的增加。
Smart technologies were becoming essential in this mega project. Computer modeling was commonly used to demonstrate spatial and mechanical relationships, a feat that couldn't be achieved by floor plans. In line with today's increasingly scientific approach to geotechnical engineering, the slope of more than 1 million square meters was covered by a huge protective net. With excavation data transmitted to their terminals, Zhou, Mengxia and others could then control the numbers and strength of the anchor cables digitally.
我们做了一个数字边坡系统，我们把最新的这些信息化，包括物联网啊、信息化呀这些的技术全部运用到在我们的工程里。
Today, technology, equipment and talented engineers are essential to the building of a mega project. In the course of 6 years, engineers and technicians used 350,000 anchor cables and rods to reinforce the asymmetrical mountain slopes on either side of the river, covering slopes of over 2.3 million square meters in area with an indestructible armor. Only now could the pouring of the dam begin.
工程界有一种说法叫做上天容易入地难，那么我们只能说是做出了往前探索了一步。实际上，对于白鹤滩，对于我们来说，就是2个字：成长。
With the project moving forward, more unprecedented feats of engineering would have to be achieved.
这么高陡边坡，我们整个月岸边坡700米，当时的开挖现场，感觉上就是非常的震撼也好，也非常的危险。所以说，在这个岗位上呢，你必须接受这个挑战。
At night, the construction site was brightly lit. The scene of a project on such a scale was stunning to behold. In the entire world, Baihe-tan was the largest and most technically difficult dam being built. Its engineers had dealt with huge, complex basalt mountain slopes for the first time using advanced technologies. And this was just the beginning. The next step would be to build the gigantic dam itself.